for the Brisbane Lions, it's instant legends. They have staged what could arguably be made as the best finals campaign that we've ever seen. And the culmination of that was to come with a tour de force to the MCG and have a grand final won by half-time. And 12 months on, they claim the crown.
It's either the best day of your life or the worst, really. That's as simple as it gets. But for me, I feel like the group, everyone's asked me about 2016 and what the feeling was like then, and I feel like the belief is a big thing, and our group certainly has that at the moment. You just got to be peaking at the right time, and I feel like our group's been, you know, on that trend the last few weeks especially, and yeah, we'll be peaking come Saturday.
And that'll be it. From walking on thin ice to dancing on the mountaintop, the Brisbane Lions never stopped believing.
See, I believe in hope. I believe in belief. Do you believe in miracles? Now, I don't need y'all to answer that question for me. But I do want you to answer that question for yourselves. Right now. Do you believe in miracles?
They were 44 points down just a couple of weeks ago here to the Giants. And now at 41 up, they appear to have a hand on the Premiership Cup. What a turnaround.
We were in a lot of trouble at the halfway mark of the season, and we found a way to get ourselves back into the contest, and somehow or other we're here today.
This is impressive.
And Brisbane are about to bust open this grand final.
And the alarm bells are going off in the Sydney Swans coach's box right now.
They have put the foot down here, Brisbane. They are doing every single thing right.
My coach's mind, I thought, gee, are they going to be able to do it for a third week in a row? You know, will we have the energy? But I never thought about it much after Tuesday, because when I came into the club, the boys just had so much energy and they've been up and about all week. So I didn't come into today's game thinking that we wouldn't be able to go the distance.
How did he kick that from there? They are on fire. They are up by 35 points.
It's 41 points in the grand final.
They are rampaging their way towards the flag, Brisbane.
How's the wow factor of that?
What about this? Brisbane by 60.
They are in command, and it is a commanding performance. And their fans are starting to believe. They are storming away, Brisbane. Archie is off to the races, and the Lions have got another one. Now the emotion starts to pour out.
The Lions produce the domination to make the golden era proud.
And the Lions have caught lightning in a bottle.
And there it is. It is Brisbane by 60 points. An Olympian victory for the future Olympic Sydney.
It's the Brisbane Lions who have smashed Sydney in this grand final. 60-point margin.
Just so proud of the group from where we came from, losing last year by a kick, and then the start of the year, everyone was questioning us, and I think we were 13th or something at the turn, and to come home like we did, just so proud of this club and this group.
I think Chris has done a wonderful job. You know, he's had a really tough time of it. He's got that club from when he started back to where it is today, and personally I wanted to congratulate him because of the person he is. He's just an A-grade quality bloke.
When you're the coach of an AFL team, you've got to put up with a lot of scrutiny and a lot of pressure, and I suppose, yeah, for us, after this is my 8th year, for us to come from where we've come from 8 years ago to be able to do this today is a very special moment.
Chris Fagan and his Lions win it all in 2024.
Do you believe in miracles? I don't need y'all to answer that question for me. But I do want you to answer that question for yourselves. Right now. Do you believe in miracles?
Laura Cagill put that together for you tonight. A salute to the Brisbane Lions. The Ted Lasso theme was irresistible. Believe and believe. Jack Revolt. So no team chased harder or chased longer within a season than this. They started, I was thinking back, the first quarter of opening round.
Unbelievable.
They played the best footy I've ever seen at the start of a season. And if you'd said Brisbane lift the cup, I would have said, of course they do. Did you see what they... And the rest of the season they chased from so far back.
What about at round 7 when they were 2-5? And we spoke
Anzac night.
Yep, Cam Rayner we spoke to last week as well after the game against Geelong where they won. And I said, did you give yourself a chance at 2-5 when round 7? He said, nah. And here they are, obviously saluting on that last Saturday in September. But I just think this is a masterclass in man management. Now, there's been people that have poked at Chris Fagan tactically, but man management has shone through as the best coaching tool any coach can have. Even the way they handled the week last week and the way they came down on the Wednesday, they'd learnt lessons from the year before, not tactically about how they were going to play, but how they were going to set themselves up to give them the best chance to perform on this Saturday. We had access to, obviously, Josh Dunkley last week on a Thursday, which, you wind the clock back 3 years ago, you go, do you get access like that to a player 2 days out from a grand final? And the way they just handled themselves was ultra professional, and they gave, and we ended up getting.
So just a total calm, and I think if the Fagan gift this year was if he'd let catastrophe in the door, I reckon it would have swallowed them whole, and there was catastrophising everywhere around them. But he stayed to what he believed, and he stayed consistent with his team. His faith and loyalty is what he preaches, and he didn't flinch. So he didn't feed the players to us who were demanding heads and recriminations. He held firm and continued to, and made the right change at the right time. And then through accident, through design, they bring their youth through, not for the future, but for the now, and they complement perfectly. And then to bring it all together on that day, at the end of 3 straight travels and 4 weeks of footy, and to do it just so compellingly and ferociously. So what is it? Their best quarter of pressure for the year is the second quarter. Their capacity to score in concentrated bursts, that's been their gift. And they put the grand final away with 6 goals in 12 minutes.
Yeah, and Brisbane have been rated fairly low in terms of the pressure they've been exerting this year. So they have an offensive flavour about them. But when they've started to hit the screws, and that has certainly been probably since that Kai Lohmann goal in the Giants game in semi-final week, is that they started to get their pressure game correct. And they started to ramp it up. They'd ramp it up in periods where they would just choke sides. And then we already know the offensive weapons that they've got. That the fact that Fagan, he held fort, because younger coaches or maybe less experienced people may have started to look at different avenues to try and skin the cat and maybe just scrape into finals. But he had a product. He knew how it worked. He just needed for a few things to go right. And I reckon that's the best thing about senior coaching and great senior coaches. As much as we'll speak about and the media speaks about the fact that maybe they are teetering and maybe they're coming out of the window to win a premiership, is you need to have the captain of the ship to stand there and go, that is the way we are headed.
Yep, and it not only does it have to instill belief, but it has to be believable, and he was the whole way through. So, Chris Fagan, I've got no hesitation in declaring this the greatest coaching story we've ever seen. And for a few different reasons. Robbo captured it perfectly in Saturday's paper, the man from nowhere. So what the upbringing looks like in Tasmania, and then the slow course through with really no trajectory to being a senior coach. But he says that's what he is at heart. He comes in largely as a pastoral figure to heal a club, and he does it so well that in the 3rd year they're playing finals. And here they are after 6, they've done it in every year, back-to-back grand finals, and now they have the cup to frank it. I think I loved Lee Matthews' line that if he ran for Prime Minister tomorrow, he would be elected. And I think that's true. He was the way into it. If you're a neutral fan, the number of people I came across who said, I love the Brisbane coach. And the grandfatherly figure of football is he has the spoil.
The school teacher from Queenstown, the famed gravel oval of Tasmania, it's as far west and remote as you can get. And this is the essence of maybe what a small place like Queenstown is like, being represented on a national sporting stage. You are a product of your environment as a player, and Fagan has created the great environment. But you start to embody some of the behaviours that Fagan has built his career off. And obviously, starting as a school teacher, he wrote a letter to Neil Danaher about why he wanted to get involved with the Melbourne Football Club and become a part of their organisation, obviously Alistair Clarkson as well. So he's seen success. He's been around some of the great senior coaches over the generations of AFL, VFL football. And he has just been soaking it in as a sponge, soaking it in and making sure that when his time comes, and granted, it could have been last year, they were a kick away from winning it, but when his time comes, he stood up in the moment. As much as the players stood up, the coach stood up. And that little bit of gravel patch on the west coast of Tasmania is now home to an AFL premiership.
It's a brilliant part of folklore.
Yeah.
Will Ashcroft, so second season, and the middle of it is interrupted by a knee reconstruction. So think about what he's done already.
It's unbelievable.
Bursts onto the scene,
It's
goal of the
unbelievable.
year, denied his chance at it last year, comes back, builds his season from round 16, and he's the Norm Smith medalist. He's
the heir apprentice to Lachie Neale. He's the master at the moment, Lachie Neale, obviously the two-time Brownlow medalist, but this bloke is not far in his shadows. And to think season 2, and as you mentioned, Gerard, they're so interrupted with the first one with an ACL injury, but he came in sort of mid-year and rusty as well. We had a couple of runs under the belt where he was sort of like, is he going to find his feet before the end of the season? But he has charged into September and he has got some unbelievable football ahead of him. He just has this ability to find himself in the right spot. And I think similar to when Nick Dacos gets the ball, is that some players just create space for others. And they go, hey, you want to run that way, but I know that you need to go that way. So I'm going to handball it out there in the perfect spot to make you go where I want you to go. It's just this foresight that he has, and you can see the Norm Smith.
So he was your choice. Why was he your choice in the game?
I like the fact that he's the link player. I reckon he's the one that gets it from Neale. He still can win his own ball, but just the dash that he provided, his work rate was fantastic. He was another one of those Brisbane mids that just works hard constantly, offensively and defensively, and I didn't see him drop his head once. Now, granted, they've obviously won the game quite considerably, but he doesn't get the ball, he moves on. So I think he's going to be a fantastic leader going forward. Also, obviously, the coaches' votes there, finishing equal first with Lachie Neale, but wow. Season 2. Season 2.
As you think about, so Nick Dacos in season 3 and Will Ashcroft in season 2.
We've got this generational midfielders that are going to have battles for forever.
Yes, they are.
Between two really big clubs as well.
So Joe Danaher is football's man of mystery, and rather delightfully on Friday night it started to emerge, is this Joe's last game? Is he going to retire? And there were enough people who'd heard enough across a few weeks to say, yeah, this is on. So I thought he was absolutely superb. I had him as the second best player on the ground, and if he'd kicked his goals, you all would have been voting for him. So the choice that he has in front of him now, what if he does retire?
Well, if he retires, he's leaving $1 million on the table. That's the first thing, as well as obviously the financial side of it as well, which I don't think is I'm not going to say it's not huge in Joe's life, but certainly you can start to hear that other things are more important, as they should be, but and potentially outweigh that sum of figure. But look, I think his final series was incredible, and probably wayward goalking is the only thing. The fact that McInerney goes down last week and Joe has to go into the ruck for the predominant part of the second half, and just his ability there to play ruck and adjust straight away. He sort of symbolises Brisbane in terms of just he's quiet, he's unassuming. They're out of the spotlight, obviously not in the Victorian hub here where most of the spotlight gets shone, but he goes about his business quietly. But
so if he retired, what would it mean?
If they lose him, there is a huge void to fill. Now, that sounds obvious, but look, I'm not seeing Eric Hipwood step into that number one key forward role. I think Eric Hipwood's a nice foil. Logan Morris is undersized, but he's going to be a fantastic player coming forward. He's got as good an aerial ability as anyone I've ever seen as a first-year player. So, for me, you taste the top of the mountain, and maybe that's the thing that Joe goes, oh, hang on a second. This is actually pretty good. I wouldn't mind coming back again next year, because they have certainly got the list and the profile.
So he's irreplaceable.
Cannot replace Joe Danaher. And I know Brownie's talked about the fact that he's the key position player of the competition in the last sort of 3 to 4 years. And the stats stack up. He's so important to that football club.
A salute to Oscar McInerney. So he evidently gave them the theme, give yourself to the team.
Yeah.
Which is one thing to say, and then this is what it looks like when your moment comes. And the bond between two ruckmen who spend their whole time together and then have to play in separate teams because there's only room for one. I mean, that's as good a scenes as you'd ever see between
You can't
players.
fake that. You cannot fake the way he acted after that game. And I had my doubts with Darcy Fort coming in, 2 games for the season, to think McInerney's been such a mainstay for them over the last period of time. But he spoke about how Darcy Fort had deserved this with his hard work as well. And now the Lions start to focus on the fact that one of their most important players and beloved players as well in Oscar McInerney missed out. So that maybe that is the thing that wants to drive them to another premiership or go to the top of the mountain again. But I just think that is the epitome of team sport there. He could have cracked the sads.
Well, or just felt it. Felt it internally of what he'd
gone
missed,
back into the shadows
but
as
that's
well.
That wasn't him.
No, and the club involved him well. They got him there and obviously on the bench, same with Callum Mills as well. So they found ways to get him involved, and he will be a story that we will look at going forward if the Lions are to contend again.